Sled pull level 1. Good. So with the sled pull level 1, you want to do the exact same mechanics as you did in gait NMR level 1, which is basically just learning how to walk with perfect alignment. So in gait NMR level 1, let's go ahead and back up a little bit, take the slack out of the line, spread your feet a little bit. Good. So in gait NMR level 1, we have feet perfectly parallel. We have knees, patella in line with the second and third toe. The pelvis is in a neutral pelvic position. The transverse abs are drawn in tight. The arms are in anatomical position with the scapula retracted and depressed. The thoracic spine is extended, and the external meatus or ear hole is in line with the medial deltoid. And then that position is maintained during walking. That's what gait NMR at level 1 is. This exercise is the same exact thing, except for the difference is we're adding a sled load. And of course, we're making sure that we still stay in at least about 30 degrees of hip flexion, 35 degrees of hip flexion, and getting full hip extension while pulling the sled. Go ahead and let's demonstrate. Good. So see what she's doing? Go ahead and drive. Drive from your hips. She's trying to drive and bring the pelvis into posterior pelvic tilt position. Go ahead and transfer. Go ahead and walk. Yep. Continue, continue, continue. Continue, continue, continue. Keep stepping, keep stepping, keep stepping. Good. So you can see, keep stepping, keep stepping. You can see that she's keeping in a posterior pelvic tilt position while she's staying in that gait NMR position as well. With her arms in anatomical position, scapula retracted, palms are open the whole time, and we're doing this with a very light sled. That's what gait NMR level 1 is. For fitness doctor practitioners, what you want to think about is that you're starting to teach your client how to both maintain that gait NMR alignment while also doing a sled pull. So if you let them do level 1 of sled pull incorrectly, you're going to have so many movement compensations and pathokinematics transfer into their higher performance and higher difficulty exercises. So it's very important that you take an OCD level of analytics of how the client's positioning, how they're loading, and looking at each detail. The same detail that you looked at in gait NMR level 1. So let's again rehearse and look at those things. And a doggy's gait is different than a human's gait, so we won't have him in the video. All right. So go ahead and begin, Dr. Gabby. Good. Drive with the butt. So I'm coming in front, right? I'm coming in front and I'm looking at the feet. I'm seeing, are the patella tendon in line with the second and third toe? Is she doing a Trendelenburg? Is she upright? She's not as upright as I want her to be. So she's not as upright, so I'm going to have her pause. Pause. If I can't correct her, if I'm coaching her and she's not upright as much as I want her to be, then I'll have her do, I'll come in and I'll use physical cueing. I'll take the pelvis and I'll go into posterior pelvic tilt. I'll make sure her torso is upright. Then I'll say, okay, again, we're gonna load, and I want you to pull nice and strong, coming into hip extension. So really pull and flex that glute, drive your hips forward. Stay upright with the chest. So the driving force of this is not a lean and a fall and a transfer. That's not what's happening here. What's happening here is we're driving with the hips and pulling. It's almost like this. If you didn't have a load on you, it would almost look like this. But we do have a load there, so it ends up looking much more natural. But there's a huge focus on driving with the glutes. So you as the fitness doctor practitioner need to realize what is actually happening there and what you're coaching the client to actually do. Let's go ahead and take a look again. Good, 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 good. And I'm not saying anything because the client's doing perfectly. So if the client's doing perfect, then we can just tell them why they're doing perfect. Hey, you're doing perfect. Your knees are in line with your feet. You're doing a posterior pelvic tilt. Your torso's upright. So then you're telling them what they're doing correct. Sometimes you're coaching and you're having to adjust and cue and stop and physically adjust. And when they're doing correct, especially when your client's in that learning phase, then start telling them why they're doing correct so that they know how correct feels.